and welcome back to my channel. My name is Caira and I make videos on tips, tricks, and organization for small space living. Okay, so I've been wanting to make today's video for a really long time and I kept putting it off because I wanted to make sure I really knew what I was talking about, and I feel like I'm finally there. This video is how to keep your houseplants alive. I love plants. I feel like I get a new plant every single weekend. I just have an obsession with them, and it's been a lot of trial and error and really figuring out like each plant and what each of their needs are and how I can sustain all of my plants. Let's just jump into the video. So for each of your plants, you need to figure out what they like. Some like to have constantly wet soil, some like to dry out in between. From there, I find it's really important to stick to a routine. Now I have 4 tools that I use with me every time I water my plants. The 4 things I use, I carry them around with me as I water my plants, is first, I just use this carafe. I always use this glass carafe because it helps me know how much water to give to my plants. It makes it so I'll remember and I'll be regular about how much I water my plants. Second, a spray bottle. This was like 79 cents. This is really important. Not all of my plants can use a full like pour of water. Some of them need to be misted, so I use this on like a lot of my cacti, my succulents. Next, I didn't do this for a long time, but I've noticed a huge improvement. I got this little box of Miracle-Gro plant food. It was only like $3, I think, for this whole box, and I use like such a small amount, but I'll just sprinkle some of the crystals into here before I pour it. But I've noticed it's really made my plants all start growing a lot. Lastly, this is my biggest tip, and I think everybody should have one of these. I have this soil tester. It tells you if there's too much water in the soil. You can also set it to see if there's too much light or the pH levels of your water. But I use this and I carry it around and I test all the soil. This has been super, super helpful. All right, I'm gonna start watering my plants and then I'll just tell you a little bit about them as I go. So let's start with my fiddle leaf. My fiddle leaf has seen some better days. I left it in a dark corner for a long time thinking it'd survive, and it didn't. But I've moved it now right next to a window, so it's getting plenty of light and it's suddenly doing so much better. I'm getting new growth on it, and that's huge. So for my fiddle leaf, I'm just putting in like this much plant food, the fertilizer, and then I'm gonna give it 2 full ones of these, but I'm only gonna put crystals in the one. See, these are all new leaves on top, and you can see that new leaves are still forming. These ones really like just came out within the last week. My next plant I want to show you is my palm. So this one is also growing a new leaf. This is going to be a new little branch sticking up right here, and so I'm really excited about that. So you can see how moist it shows it is. That's the little line right there. And so I can tell this plant does need some more water, so I'm going to give it a full one of the crafts. On to the peace lily. Peace lilies really don't need much water, so I don't want to overwater it. Next up we have these 2. We have this succulent, and then we have this Pathos plant. So the Pathos really takes no maintenance. It just sits in water. These are its roots, and so I'm just going to top up the water. And then I do give it completely new water just about every other week, maybe every 3 weeks, depending on how it's doing. And then succulents are tricky because everyone says they're so easy, but they get root rot really easily, so this is too much water. I'm just gonna give it about half that. So this palm is in a pot that also doesn't get a lot of drainage. He's doing pretty good because you can see like this one is a new spear, so that's gonna be a new leaf sticking out. It's not completely wet, so this would be way too much water. I'm just gonna give it like half of this. Over here we have the rubber plant. The rubber plant is super, super low maintenance. This is a really good beginner plant for someone if you want to try something, and it looks really cool. Its dark leaves are really neat. So this one only needs a little bit of water. It doesn't need much light. Oh, it says it's really moist, so honestly I'm just not even gonna water that one this week. I don't want to overwater it. Down here we have one of my favorite cacti. This one has all this new growth, so that little spear up there is new, that's new. On the back side there's another one coming in, so this one's been really fun to watch. Cacti don't need very much water. Contrary to popular belief, they do need to be watered, especially when it's their time to grow. So I do test them and water them every other week maybe, depending how dry they are. This big guy is so cool. He's such a great addition to the room. He needs a pretty decent amount of water. He doesn't need a ton of light, but it shows it is pretty wet in there, but I think I'm still just gonna give him some. So I have 2 plants on this shelving unit. This one, I call him Angry Boy. Angry Boy is very hard to water because he grows so close together. So I'll test his soil from this little spot right here and then see if I can pour some water in, and then I'll mist the tops of him. Okay, it's showing that it is pretty wet in there, and he's able to get root rot super easily. So I'm just gonna give him a good misting. This one down here has been my biggest struggle probably so far. It's definitely got a lot of new growth, but it's just not really retaining its leaves very well. I'm not exactly sure why, but he's super moist, so I don't want to give him any more water. Over here, I have this cool like hanging succulent plant. I don't really remember what this one is. And then I have another Pathos, so I'm just gonna top up the water on this Pathos. And this one's got a ton of new growth coming in too, so they're doing super well. I love the Pathos plants, they're so easy and they're so fun. This one's really easy because when it starts drying out, the leaves will start to wrinkle. So the fact that they're nice and plump right now can tell you that this plant's doing pretty good. And this cactus out here, this one does need some water. Oh my gosh, it has new growth. Guys, this is so exciting. I haven't noticed this until just now. Wait, look. That's a little baby coming up right there. And right there, there's one. I'm so excited. I am such a plant nerd. So these cacti do require quite a good amount of sun and more water than you'd expect for a cacti because it is pretty big and they need great drainage. So we have it in this basket this basket can't hold water at all. When I pour water in there, it just floods through. So I do have to mist it slowly or pour water in super slow. I'm gonna try and give it some of this water without spilling a ton of it. It literally started spilling already. So since I can't do that without making a huge mess, I'm gonna use this entire bottle and just spray it. Next we have this cactus down here. I like to call this one my Selfie Cactus. This one's never shown any sign of growth. I have no idea how this plant is doing, but I'm gonna give him some water. Just a little bit. So the last plant I'm gonna show you today is this Cactus Arrangement. We got this from Home Depot for $24, I believe. It's grown so much, like this has grown up and these have grown longer and they flowered for a while, so it's doing really well. So I'm gonna give it probably half of a carafe and just spread it around. So that's all the plants I'm gonna show you today, guys. I have more plants, but this video is like getting to be really long as is. Those are all the plants that I felt were the most interesting or the most common house plants that people would need to learn about and see how you can start understanding your plants better and how you can help them grow. Seeing your plants grow is super exciting, so hopefully this will help you a little bit. Well, thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. I post videos on tips, tricks, and organization for small space living. If you guys have any questions about any of my plants or you have any advice for me, please comment below. I love interacting with you guys. All right, thanks so much for watching and I'll see you guys next time.